All right. So I guess let's talk a little bit about cancel culture, which has been coming up more and more recently. And so one of the things that I really particularly find kind of aggravating with cancel culture is that people sort of digging up old information or old tweets or posts or pictures and things like that. And it's just like most of these people don't have the same beliefs that they had, 10, 5, or even, 20 years ago. I don't believe I would even have the same beliefs 20 years ago that I do now. Obviously, you know, uh, I was only a child back then, but just understanding that cancel culture is dangerous in the fact that when you don't allow people to express ideas, as wrong as they may be, you kind of lose out on that debate and you kind of build up this monoculture of people who are more like homogeneous and not heterodox to some of the ideas that, you know, that are pertinent to have and important to have. And so I think monoculture and at least the prevailing views of, you know, left culture and things like that is kind of dangerous because, you see where it leads. You see where it leads people to, kind of otherwise genuine people who may not exactly share all your beliefs and values, but they might have a different point of view, a different perspective. And so it's sort of a more authoritative to see this happening in the United States. And it's also happening around the world with certain other people being, permanently canceled. But cancel culture is dangerous in the sense that everyone should have the opportunity to be heard and things like that. You look at the recent political dissident, Alexei Navalny in Russia, who is a vocal opponent of Vladimir Putin, but obviously he espoused some views that some in the West viewed as not, you know, in the playbook, so to speak. And so he was kind of left out to dry a little bit by Amnesty International because he's not viewed as a political dissident or, you know, a, a political prisoner, even though he's been, had several attempts on his life. I think, um, I think you have to look deeper into why certain people need to be canceled and why other people are being canceled. And I think that it's a case by case basis. You can't broadly paint a brush of individuals who may have voted for Trump or, other conservatives and things like that because they might not even share their values. And so it's just kind of dismissive to put them all in this one box, whether, you know, even with Dr. Seuss, uh, having, done books, which I'm pretty sure I've read every Dr. Seuss book there is. I know that I've read at least 30 plus of them. And so I never have had a racist bone in my body from reading Dr. Seuss books as a child. And maybe they were racially insensitive at the time or they didn't display a perfect message of equality or equity, but they're still great, wonderful works. And so, and obviously, it wasn't the Democrats or the government that banned Dr. Seuss books. It was the fact that, um, the trust, I believe, or foundation that runs Dr. Seuss's publications decided that these were just less popular books. And obviously, some of them were problematic, but they were just less popular books that were being in print that they were going to take out of print. And so it wasn't the government or Democrats or anything like that taking the books out of circulation. It was just that they were just less popular books. And I believe, they may or may not have been somewhat problematic, even though there's racist imagery everywhere. Especially with St. Patrick's Day coming up. Then the University of Notre Dame has a fighting Irish caricature of an Irish person on, there's as their school logo and mascot. And so, is it something that's racist against Irish people, well, probably not. Like it's probably a source of pride for many of them, but in some distant time, that might be seen as something that is kind of offensive. Having this caricature of a short Irishman with you know ready looking for a fight, um, in you know Irish garb or you know um, attire, just be a character of your university. It's not really something that is offensive. I think to most Irish people, or even just white people, because I think it's this kind of thing of being, especially with Bill Burr, people trying to cancel him for pronouncing a Latin music star's name wrong, which I looked at the way he pronounced it, and in English that would be the way that you would pronounce it. The problem is Bill Burr doesn't speak Spanish, which I don't even think the artist. I think it was Natalie La Forcada. Like it sounds Italian, like, and so it's just this weird thing that people just want people outside their control to be canceled. And so I don't really think that Bill Burr will be canceled, but it's just something that's just so aggravating that we can't have a difference of opinion without thinking that someone is some inherently evil or bad or wrong. Like it's not like they're saying that we should put Jews in ovens or that black people are chimps or Asian people are carrying like all Asian people are carrying a virus. It's just a simple difference of opinion. I think we have to come to, and I think it comes down to the fact that we are unable to debate or espouse to ideas that um, are a part of ourselves. And I think that's what a lot of people have come to think is that, um, their ideas, and the way that they think and believe and their affiliation to certain political organizations and parties defines them, and it doesn't. I think what people really have to understand is that political ideas and things and conversation have to take place, and we have to get better at doing those things if we want to survive as a civilization, as a people, as a country, as a community. Because obviously, people aren't going to 100% agree on everything, but there are things that we can agree on and that we can find solutions to. And so, cancel culture, I hope it won't be a trend that stays in the long term, but the trend for cancel culture it seems to be deepening and worsening, just at a generational level. Because I remember not too long ago that they tried to cancel Pepe Le Pew, and obviously Pepe the Frog, and all these things were memes and such. But Pepe Le Pew, in my opinion, is sort of a character or a character in such a way that you shouldn't behave because obviously there are different cultural boundaries that are permitted in different situations and contexts, but Pepe Le Pew has never really been the paragon of how you should behave. I think that he was kind of a cautionary tale of how you shouldn't behave. And also a unique thing about Pepe Le Pew is that he was counseled once before. He was counseled by liberals and and conservatives because of the fact that France during the build up to the Iraq War chose not to aid us in the invasion and overthrow of Saddam Hussein. And so that's why you saw some things like Liberty fries and in place of French fries, and you know, um, I think they even changed the name of croissant to something else. I think they call it like the New York roll or something like that, or New York pastry generically. And you saw this also in wartime previously, where you saw sauerkraut cabbage being called, uh, obviously a cabbage product, but as being called Liberty cabbage and things like that. And, whether it's freedom fries or Liberty cabbage, I think we shouldn't let these cultural things take the place of how we actually feel and understand the world, because the world isn't a monoculture. It's not, the West thinks entirely one way and the East thinks another way, or someone in Chicago thinks exactly the same as someone in the rest of Illinois, or vice versa. And so cancel culture has to come to its limit and logical conclusion, is which that culture is not mono. We live in a multicultural society. We live in a multi-ethnic society, and so we have to grow upon our values over our ideologies. And so, whether those ideologies have beliefs in Christianity or anything like that or not, we have to understand that there are differences in opinion and facts, but those things, especially the facts, are what we have to understand and come to better use in such ways that build understanding and not distance ourselves from it. And so these culture wars, I think, will continue to go on. I think there are perpetrators of it, but we have to just pull up our bootstraps and find out what more needs to be done over these things.